Hi, Iris.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm just having a problem with my. I'll be back in a moment. I'm just getting a paper from the printer.
Morning all.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
That's different.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova to everyone.
Yeah, indeed. How was Yom Surf in Woodford Forest?
Where were you?
Boreham Wood.
Oh, right.
Boring wood.
Yeah, it was very nice.
No, it wasn't Boring Wood. Thank you very
No,
much.
of course not.
Boring wood isn't boring. I've heard it's definitely not. It's just a JLGB joke.
I know it is.
I don't get it.
Oh, on to this.
I thought I'd tell you.
We can't see you, Alex.
Oh well. That's a shame. I'm
Can't
still
see
there.
Brenda or Jeff either.
Oh, okay, that is a shame. That is a real shame. But I'm definitely here. I'm
Did
a
you have-
figment of your imagination.
Did you have a nice Yom Surf, everybody?
Yes,
I-
thank
I-
you.
I don't know
I'm
about
sure you
suffering.
did.
Yeah, thank you. It was lovely. Sorry, I can't work out how. Oh, hang on. It's okay. Gallery.
Ah, there's Brenda and Jeff. Or at least the top of their
Hello.
heads.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, Julian disappeared.
All we can see of you, Brenda and Jeff, is the top of your head. Ah,
I haven't got it sorted out yet. Hold on.
that's better.
No, it's all right. Don't worry. No, I just haven't got it sorted out.
Right. That's good.
Yes, it takes time to sort it out.
Yep.
Rabbi's not there yet.
Well, look.
He-
Oh, Rabbi's gone to get some paper, something out of the printer.
And then he's going to hand them round.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm not
okay.
quite sure how he's going to do that, but still.
Okay. Hi, just going live.
That's
In a
better.
moment.
Yeah. Have we got it? Yeah. That's better.
Happy birthday, Rabbi.
Happy
Thank you very
birthday.
much.
How are you feeling now?
Well, I'm pretty good. Yeah, we're getting there.
31. Are you 31, Rabbi?
Sorry?
Are you 31 today?
No, I'm 48. But well, it was
okay.
my legal birthday was yesterday. I usually do my Hebrew birthday, which is 2 days after Yom Kippur. But Facebook doesn't understand that.
Well, no, you should do that. Right?
Facebook
They
is
don't
very
change it, do
strange.
they?
My girl's father has two birthdays on Facebook.
Right. That's interesting.
Yes, one in the spring and one in the autumn
Oh, okay.
for some
What-
unaccountable reason.
Bit
What we
like the
should do
Queen.
is we should get together and make a Jew Facebook.
Right.
Good idea.
Okay.
I was joking. It's not going to
Right.
happen.
Right, we're now live. Let's start. Here we go. I hope everyone had a good Yom Tov.
We are now live.
Can you see the screen, Alex, or are you wandering around?
I can see the screen and I'm going to put mute on now so I can hear you properly.
Okay,
Bye.
right. Okay, off we go. Let's start. Iris, over to you.
Oh, just a moment, I'm just blowing my nose.
Sorry?
I was just blowing my nose. I
All right,
apologize. The greater part of the Torah reading of Ha'azinu, Listen In, consists of a 70-line song delivered by Moses to the people of Israel on the last day of his earthly life. Calling heaven and earth as witnesses, Moses exhorts the people, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask your father and he will recount it to you, your elders and they will tell you how God found them in a desert land, made them a people, chose them as his own and bequeathed them a bountiful land. The song also warns against the pitfalls of plenty. Yeshurun grew fat and kicked. You have grown fat, thick, and rotund. He forsook God who made him and spurned the rock of his salvation. And the terrible calamities that would result, which Moses describes as God hiding his face. Yet in the end, he promises, God will avenge the blood of his servants and be reconciled with his people and land. The Parsha concludes with God's instructions to Moses to ascend the summit of Mount Nebo, from which he will behold the promised land before dying on the mountain. For you shall see the land opposite you, but you shall not go there into the land which I give to the children of Israel.
Thank you very much. So we've got a theme this week in this Parsha, which comes up quite a lot. It's going to come up on Sukkot as well. And the theme is rain, right? We all like to talk about the weather in Britain. And we know that if you look, there's a whole Masechta, there's a whole tractate of the Talmud, Timeless, which is basically dedicated to what they would do when they had a drought. So rain, particularly in the land of Israel, very crucial, as we know. But let's have a look at some other analogies with rain. So who would like to read number 1? Any
I'll read
volunteers?
it if you like.
Please.
Let my teachings drop as rain, my words descend like dew, like showers on a new grass, like abundant rain on tender plants.
Right. So God says, let my words, let my Torah descend like dew, let it drop like rain to dry land, right? Brings life and creates growth. You can plant as many seeds as you want, but if it doesn't rain, then you're not going to harvest them ultimately. So person should know that the what really gives life and gives growth comes from God and from Torah, in the same way that we wait for it to rain in order to grow our seeds and our crops. Otherwise, we could fall into this trap. The Torah tells us, which is this famous line. Who wants to read number 2?
Now, and you say to yourselves, my own power and the might of my own hand have won this world for me.
Right, so the Torah warns us, and the next line is "V'zacharta es Hashem Elokecha, ki hu hanosein lecha koyach la'asos chayil." There was a song. "V'zacharta es Hashem." So basically, the next line, the Torah is warning us that you will say in your heart that, oh, it's my koyach, it's my strength, it's my ability, it's my power that gave me all this success. And the Torah says, then you'll remember the Lord, that really it's the Lord that gives you the success. One of the
song is used in a different way, isn't it? Yeah.
Kayach, 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 kayach lasos chayil. It's an Avram Fried song, I think. So it's saying that really the strength comes from God. So this is quite a flashpoint, I would say, in sort of secular religious tensions in Israel. Often this line is bandied about, that this is when people say, you know, we don't need God because we have a state or we have an army or we have a whatever it is, Iron Dome. It's, we did this, it's our achievement. And we say, no, you have to say that it's all thanks to Hashem. It's taking the analogy of rain. You can plant as many seeds as you like. You can have whatever strength and power and talent you want. But if it's not fertile ground, then nothing will come of it. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that you did this all by yourself. You planted the seeds and God made them grow, basically. That could be an analogy for many, many different things. Anyway, that's one interpretation. There's a different interpretation of this, this analogy with rain. This is the Midrash, the Sifri. Who would like to read this? How would you?
Shall I do it?
Yeah.
Let my teaching drop as rain, just as the rain is one thing, and yet it falls on trees, enabling each to produce tasty fruit, according to the kind of tree it is. The vine in its way, the olive tree in its way, and the date palm in its way. So the Torah is one, yet its words yield scripture, Mishnah, law, and law, like showers on new grass. Just as showers fall upon plants and make them grow, some green, some red, some black, some white. So the words of Torah produce teachers, worthy individuals, sages, the righteous and the pious.
So this is the Midrash of Sifri. So it says the point about rain is not that you plant the seeds and God makes them grow. The point is that just like rain helps things to grow in different ways, right? Some things will grow, the same water that you use to water plants or the same rain that falls doesn't have the same effect on every plant or every seed or every sapling. It depends. Right? Some different colors, different shapes, different sizes. So it's the same with Torah. Torah, it might be the energy and the food, but it has a different impact on different people. It has a different effect. Different types of teaching, different types of virtue, right? So people might say, Torah is very restrictive. It's very narrow, but the Midrash says actually the reason it's compared to rain is because it helps each of us to grow in our own way. So according to Sifri, that's the analogy of rain. So we've got two analogies so far. One is that just like without rain, you can plant crops and nothing will happen. So we may think that we have to make our own efforts, but we also have to have the divine blessing, which is the rain, and recognize Hashem's hand in things. Or according to Sifri, it's the idea that just like rain may fall uniformly, but in reality, well, not uniformly, falls in a sort of somewhat uniform way, but has a different effect on each different thing. So one person will be waiting for rain because they want their crops to grow. Someone else will be waiting for rain because the Jordan River's dried up. Someone else is waiting for rain because they need to fill their mikveh. So there's any number of possible reasons. It brings different blessings to different people. There's a famous Mishnah in Sanhedrin. I think you may have seen this before. My laptop battery is very bad. If we get cut off at any point, I'll just go and get my charger. Apologies in advance. Right. So here's the Mishnah in Sanhedrin. Who'd like to read this?
I will.
Please.
When a human being makes many coins from the same mint, they are all the same. God makes everyone in the same image, his image, yet none is the same as another.
Right. I think we've had this quote before. Right, so human coins, they're all made in the image of whatever coin it is, and they all look the same. We're made in the image of God, but we know that we're all unique. Anyone know a quote that we had probably relatively recently, or a discussion about leadership and how Moshe and Joshua lead that relates to this? You'll recognize it when you see it. What does Moshe say to God when he realizes that it's time to appoint a successor? You remember?
Nope.
No? Okay, let's put it on the screen. Here we go. Right, who'd like to read number 5?
The Lord God of spirits of all humankind, appoint a man over community.
Remember this? I think it's from the Haloscha, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry. It's from later on in Bamidbar. I don't remember where. Don't remember this? Right? Said the God of the spirits of all flesh. And we said, what does the spirits of all flesh mean? And let's see what Rashi says. Go on, Jeff, carry on. Yeah, Rashi.
Why is this expression, God of the spirits of all humankind, used? Moses said to him, Lord of the universe, know each person, character, and that no two people are alike. Therefore, appoint a leader for them who will bear with each person according to his or her disposition.
Is that coming back to anyone? We definitely learned that before.
Yes, I remember it now. I
Right?
didn't
We say
before.
this is it's a special quality that Hashem has of discerning what's in a person's heart. Right? It says that Hashem is Berchen Klayos V'Leiv. It means that he discerns what's in basically your gut, your kidneys and your heart. Human beings, it's much harder to do that. But we see that when they want someone to replace Moshe, he says to Hashem, somebody who will take account of the individual needs of the people. Right? Okay, You, God, you know that each person has a different spirit. There are different things that drive them. There are different things that excite them. There are different things that push their buttons in a positive way. So we need someone, a leader, who recognizes that as well. No, it's interesting. I don't know what teaching was like, Pam, Iris, in your day. I'm sure there was some emphasis on differentiation, but now differentiation is huge. One of the biggest expectations of a teacher is to be able to differentiate different abilities within the class, right? Which is really hard, because if you've got 32 kids in a class, it's very hard to make sure that they're all being challenged at different levels. But it's a big deal. It's something that is really emphasized. It's something that a parent will ask in a parent evening, how is my child being stimulated? Well, it's hard. We've got a big class, and some of them are more advanced and some of them are, so it's a challenge. It's very difficult to keep everyone on their toes, because you're always going to have people with different needs. One thing we know for sure is a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to work, right? Whether you're, prescribing, whether you're teaching, whether you're prescribing leadership or advice to people, like they say, this is the problem with self-help books, right? Self-help book commits the thing to writing. Whereas when you go to someone for advice, you get dynamic advice which is tailored to you, right? No self-help book, no matter how good, okay, you might have AI nowadays that maybe could ask you more questions about what's going on. But if anyone, those who were with at the beginning of the Tanya Shiur of Rabbi Abrams, one of the things that the Alter Rebbe writes at the beginning of Tanya is he was very reluctant to commit his guidance to writing, because when you do that, people stop asking questions. They just say, oh, I can read a book about it. And it no longer becomes individual or personal. But on the other hand, people were asking for it, right? There's loads of, I'm one of these people that go to a talk and someone mentioned a book that sounds interesting, so I'll buy it on Amazon. I never get around to reading it. So I mentioned this lepidology book, this Kiwi Bernard, the chap who wouldn't speak on Shabbos. So I bought the book. I haven't read it yet, but most of these books, they contain interesting knowledge and information. It's probably no substitute for having, obviously, coaching from that person, or having a chance to ask them questions about what they're putting forth, because otherwise, it becomes set in stone. This, of course, was one of the reasons that they didn't want to write down the Oral Torah initially, right? Because then it's no longer dynamic. Once you write something down, it loses its dynamism. Somebody told me a story recently, I don't remember who it was, about about a recipe that got lost, a family recipe. Oh, it was a famous story. I saw it somewhere, because no one wrote it down. It got lost and it died with the grandmother or something. And someone said, yeah, that was my grandma, that story. Who was it who told me recently? Don't remember. And that was the problem with the Oral Torah. That's why it had to be written down, because sometimes you have to write things down, even though that means putting them into a box and constraining them and limiting them. It limits something when you express it in a fixed form. But on the other hand, if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have it. So this is always the problem. The challenge of individuality versus the need sometimes to have sort of conformity. Let's see what Maimonides says in his philosophical works. Here we go. Who'd like to read Maimonides?
Shall I read again?
Sure, I think we're back to you. Yeah.
Man is, as you know, the highest form in creation, and he therefore includes the largest number of constituent elements. This is why the human race contains so great a variety of individuals that we cannot discover two persons exactly alike in any moral quality or in external appearance. This great variety and the necessity of social life are essential elements in man's nature. But the well-being of society demands that there should be a leader able to regulate the actions of man. He must complete every shortcoming, remove every excess, and prescribe for the conduct of all, so that the natural variety should be counterbalanced by the uniformity of legislation, so that social order be well established.
Right. So actually, although this is a book of philosophy, he's giving us a political problem, societal problem, right? How do we regulate human society in such a way, on the one hand, to respect individuality, on the other hand, not to have chaos, right? Every school grapples with this, every yeshiva, or every college, or any place of, creativity. On the one hand, you want people to be creative. You don't want them to be stifled, right? You don't, if you have too many rules and too much, put people in too much of a box, then you stifle them. On the other hand, you have to have some conformity. So this is the challenge, right? It's the challenge also when Moshe says to God, find a leader who can understand the individual spirit of the individual people. That's also a challenge. You could extend that and say who can respect the individual spirit whilst at the same time, having a unifying rallying call that brings people together, that there are things that they have in common. We're not just a group of diverse people that have no commonality, because that doesn't work either. You have chaos then. Anyone know what the blessing you say is if you see 600,000 Jews?
Not off by heart.
Oh,
What would you think it would be? 600,000 is the classic, mass, right? Like it says,
Thank you, God, that there are so many Jews in this world who follow you.
right? Thank God for what?
How do you know there's that many?
Sorry?
How do you know that there's 60,000 Jews?
Okay, good question. But let's say hypothetically you've counted them. You see 600,000 people in one place. I'm not even sure it's Jews actually, it might just be people. You see a huge crowd of people. There's a bracha that you say. I think, by the way, the chief rabbi said the only place he thinks he ever was after the Charlie Hebdo terror attacks. They had a big rally in Paris. And I think they said there were 1 million people there. I think the chief rabbi said he went. I think he said he thought that was the only time he was somewhere with 1 million people. I think that was it, 1 million man march type of thing. Anyway, the bracha is actually, I don't know if it's, I think it's bracha Hashem L'kein Mechalam, Chacham Harazim, which means you are the wise one who knows the wisdom of everyone's secrets. It's a strange bracha. So in other words, when you have lots and lots of people, you're basically saying everyone's different. Everyone's got their own secrets. Everyone's got their own, individuality. It's a strange bracha. You would think the bracha would be, bless you, O God, who brings people together, right? Who establishes communities, humanity, shared brotherhood of man, or something like that. But the bracha actually says that blessed are you who knows their secrets. Why? Because every person has a different, mind. Every person has different things going on. Every person is a different world, not just externally, but internally as well. Interesting bracha. Seems very strange. Right? Surely when you see a crowd, you should celebrate. Look at this crowd of people, all with what common purpose, whatever that may be. And instead we say, look at these people who all have secrets. In other words, they're all different. Each one has his own meshugas. Each one has their own, individuality. It's a curious one. So it seems like we value individuality and difference in that sense. The challenge, as Maimonides says, is how you then find the commonality. Right? If you think about different systems, even within the kibbutz movement, I don't know how familiar people are with different kibbutzim, but visited some over the years. You had kibbutzim that were a little bit more, I want to say, I don't know, right wing, where people had their own individual homes and, they had their own property. You had kibbutzim that were extremely egalitarian, where, in some cases the children lived in shared dorms and they didn't actually live with their parents, where everyone had, exactly the same style of home. And nobody had any personal wealth. If you needed a car, you'd borrow it from the kibbutz, and everything was shared, complete commonality. Now I'm presuming people still had some individuality, but there's even within that, there's different styles, there's different levels, there's different ways of expressing that. Right? I always remember a friend of mine, it's called David. So he in New York, people go to interesting places to put on to film with people and stuff. So they went to a Grateful Dead concert. Right? I'm not particularly familiar with the Grateful Dead, but apparently they're quite a popular heavy metal band. And people that follow the Grateful Dead tend to, the Deadheads they call them, I think, probably tend to dress in a certain style. I don't know, tie-dye, t-shirt, whatever. Anyway, so my friend was there with a couple of yeshiva bochas, and they're all wearing white shirts and probably dark suits, and they all probably look pretty similar. And they said, they go around to, I don't know exactly what they're doing, probably seeing people put on tefillin or maybe handing out Shabbos candles. I don't know what they were doing exactly. Somebody said to my friends, you guys, you have no individuality. You're so conformist. You all look the same. And he said, he took one look at all these people and he said, and they're all dressed exactly the same, right? And yet if you would ask them, they say, oh, we're individuals. Yeah. You ask, the kid who's got loads of piercings, why have we got all these piercings? Oh, I'm being an individual, but wait a minute. Actually, all your friends are doing it as well. So often things that, we think are individual, in reality, it's also just following the trend. So it's not so easy to be individual, actually. But it seems like we celebrate that in Judaism. We celebrate difference. So going back to the teaching example, the ability to differentiate and recognize that people are different. They respond to different things and different stimuli, different inspiration, right? It's very important. We find it a lot. I think we've probably discussed it before. The Talmud says, different people are discussing their favorite mitzvah or their father's mitzvah they excelled in. One excelled in chesed and kindness, and someone else excelled in charity. And someone else, the late Rabbi Scheinberg, I think, used to wear like 28 pairs of tzitzis because to fulfill every possible opinion about the tzitzis. That's not for everyone. That was his mitzvah, right? Other people excel in davening for hours, right? Different people, different things push different people's buttons, and that's okay because although we're creating the image of God, that doesn't make us identical. I think it's a very important point. So going back to the original point, this is the idea. This is, according to the Midrash, this is the idea of rain. That rain causes things to grow, but not all in the same way. So Torah and mitzvahs and Yiddishkeit is something that is fuel for us and energy, but it doesn't mean that we're all robots and automatons that all do things in the same way. I think it says that also in two of my boys had the same Parsha. Jeff's also, right? Naso, in the Parsha of Naso. So you have the gifts that the 12 tribes brought, the dedication of the Mishkan. Each one is identical, yet we read the same text 12 times. Right? So one of the classic explanations is they may have brought the same physical gift, but it was brought in a different way. Right? Two people could bring you the same present, but it has completely different thought behind it or meaning. So even when we're doing things, often people say, Judaism is very regimented. You have all these mitzvahs you have to do, and it's all very clearly laid down, and halachas and laws. Even when we're doing things in a relatively legalistic way, we're still individuals. We still do things in different ways. One person will bring their sacrifice or their gift in one way. Another person will do it in another way. And it has meaning because of that.
Don't you think, Rabbi, as Jews, we do like to be together and we like to do things together, not just individual things.
Right. So we emphasize community a lot. We emphasize community a lot. So the question we haven't answered, which Maimonides said, is okay. So where does community come in? So I think the answer to that is that. If you look, you'll find that often when we talk about individuality, we're talking about in a communal context. So this bracha about secrets is only said when you see a large group of people together. So you see a large group of people together, although they're individual.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Pesach, all over the world. People are having the same service, which is a lovely idea.
Or could we say, for example, that everyone has a different Haggadah, right? And some Haggadahs have.
Yes, that's true.
Translate it this way and some translate it that way. And some people have different customs. Maybe that'd be a good example, actually. Sephardim do things one way and Ashkenazim do things another way. And people in Libya do things another way. But they all sit down at the Seder table together. Maybe you could say that. I've told the story before. Many years ago, we used to have a lot of Israelis that used to work on the market stalls in Wales. And we invited them once for Rosh Hashanah. I think like about a dozen, maybe 15 came, mainly like young men, women also, probably in their 20s, post-army, university, basically just kind of, I don't know, living in Wales and working on stalls and making a living, most of them not particularly settled. Anyway, we had everyone round for Rosh Hashanah dinner. And it was really nice. We had probably about, 12, 15 people. We all went around and introduced ourselves. And we asked everyone to say something about I don't remember if we asked them to do this or it just kind of happened, that everybody said different customs. So one person said, my family's originally Moroccan, so we used to have a sheep's head on the table. And then somebody else said, my family was from Tunisia, we used to have whatever it was, right? A leek. And somebody else said we were Libyan, and somebody else said, we were Ashkenazi, Lithuanian, and everyone had a different custom. Everyone had a different songs and things like that, but all coming together. So maybe that's the answer. The commonality. Often when we talk about these things, because you could also throw at me that it says in Pirkei Avos that you shouldn't separate yourself from the community. It's important to be with the community. So where does individuality come into that? So maybe that's the answers. There's some things we do as individuals, but we also do in a group. Even if you think about davening, there's prayers we say to ourselves, but then there's prayers we can only say together. So it's kind of a combination. It's a mixture. But it certainly seems like we celebrate difference. We're not looking for, unfortunately, often the problem with a lot of schools and educational systems and institutions is the assumption that what they call the cookie cutter, right? Everyone's the same, right? Every kid, fits into the same box, right? In my day, it was, you'll apply to university, you'll go study law or medicine or whatever it was. So, and the world doesn't work that way, and that's fine. Diversity is a good thing. Let's not be afraid of it, let's recognize it. So many children particularly, but actually adults also, are stifled because they don't fit into whatever particular box society says they have to fit into. But actually, who cares? You can be in your own box. A child who, I don't know, decides to become a plumber, and then people raise eyebrows. Oh, I don't know many Jewish plumbers. Who cares? I was actually listening to a podcast. I was actually quite upset by it. I'm going to contact the guy that made it, actually. I was listening to a podcast about, in some communities, it's very hard to get into schools. The truth is actually, even here, like in Hasmonean and JFS, it's hard to get in. But in some communities, it's really, really hard, particularly more frum communities. The schools are very demanding. It's a bit like Oxford and Cambridge. And if you have, anything that counts against you, whether it's, you got a bad report from your teachers, or, maybe, I don't know, your parents are divorced and they see that as a negative or whatever it is. So anyway, the person doing the podcast, who is an educator, says, he gave examples of people that don't fit in the box. And he put the following three people all together. Someone whose father was a plumber, someone whose parents had split up, and someone where there'd been infidelity in the marriage. And I just thought to myself, that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing wrong with being a plumber. Right? Are you saying that because someone's a plumber and not, a teacher or a rabbi, that their kids will have trouble getting to school? That's ridiculous. And also, there's a big difference between where there's been infidelity and there will have been mistrust. And sometimes, unfortunately, people get divorced. It's not always a black mark. So I thought it was very, very, very simplistic to make that analogy, and very thoughtless, really. And it showed a certain naivety. I wanted to actually write to him about that, because life's not that simple. My battery's about to die. Let me just go and get a charger. So if we get cut off, just keep chatting for a minute. I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to get a charger. Sorry. One sec.
And the battery's gone.
We're all quiet this morning.
We're
Probably ate too
recovering
much-
from
probably
the
ate too much
last 2
honey cake.
days.
Probably ate too much honey cake and whiskey and all that stuff.
Yeah, something like that.
Have a
Well,
nice
I-
winter.
I didn't have a lot of whiskey.
I don't want to speak, because I might want to overtalk someone if they're speaking. I'm trying to speak less. Really less of a chat box. Not possible. Where's Julian gone?
Where's
You
he
right?
gone?
Is he right? He was there already, wasn't he? Or did I imagine it?
He's just in the other room. So
Oh.
Did you have a nice Yontif, Pam?
yes, it was lovely. Thank you. Was the meeting and greeting okay?
Yes, went off fine. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was thinking about you
no, it's always well.
and your double shift.
Yeah, because we were a little bit late the first day, but we were quite early the second day.
I'm sure it was all fine anyway. Thank you. I'm going to do the Yom Kippur
Okay.
this week and obviously Shabbat.
Yes. Just thinking about it, all different things that you've got to get ready for it.
Yeah.
The reason why it's called Yom Kippur, because she always asks people for money. People end up being poor. No, it's terrible.
Ha ha ha
That's
ha.
really bad. That's really bad, isn't it? I've told worse jokes than that.
I know, I've heard some of them.
Oh, Julian, you missed my terrible joke. I won't say it again.
No, Pam will tell me.
Good.
Good. Thanks.
What's that?
Just waiting for the rabbi to come back with his charger.
In the corner of that.
Yeah.
Do the bedroom and the pictures.
Oh, I'm back. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Alex, would you want me to read?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sorry,
Yeah, sure.
go on.
By the way, people who are on the phone, you can actually zoom in. Did you know that on the thing? When Rabbi Meir died, the composer of fables ceased. When Ben Azza died, Assiduous?
Assiduous.
Huh?
Assiduous.
Assiduous.
Assiduous students ceased. When Ben Zuma died, the expositors.
Expositors.
God, Rabbi, give me hard words. The expositors ceased. When Rabbi Akiva died, the glory of the Torah ceased. Really? Okay. When Rabbi
Hanina.
Chanima died,
Yeah.
men of the dead ceased. When Rabbi Yos Kanita died, the pious men ceased.
Yeah.
When Rabbi Yochanan B. Zakkai died, the lustre of wisdom ceased. When Rabbi died, humanity and the fear of sin ceased.
Thank you.
What an interesting. Is that basically talking about various eras of people and how their era
Right. So
went on to the next one.
So each of these rabbis, some of them were contemporaries. The point is that when each of them died, different qualities were lost from the world.
Yeah.
Right? Surely you could just put a big bracket around them and say, whenever sages died, Ben Zoma, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Yossi Katanka, Yochanan ben Zakkai, then there was a loss of Torah from the world. But it doesn't say that. It says Rabbi Akiva caused a loss of the glory of Torah. Rabbi Chanina, men of deed. That means men of good deeds who go out and do things, right? Rabbi Katanka, pious men. We could go look up the Gemara, but I would imagine, for example, men of deeds is people who, are very quick to do charitable things. Pious men are people who are particularly, devout in their observance of the law and of davening. The luster of wisdom would be those who excelled in their studies, right? Humility and fear of sin are qualities as well. So different rabbis had different qualities. So that, again, there's no cookie cutter. There's no single template. Each sage has distinctive
You
merits.
disappeared again. You're frozen.
What? Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's you, Alex.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. Carry on.
Alex ceased.
Right? Different people in Tanakh also have different characters, right? Moshe and Aaron have very different characters, as does Miriam, right? Different prophets had different characters. Amos and Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, they all spoke in different ways. So they all had individual characters. There's a commonality there, a baseline, presumably being a religious Jew, but there's also an individuality as well. Let's see what, here's a famous thing that we read regularly. Why is it not working? Sorry. Here we go. Right? We say every day. Well, not every day. We say on Shabbos. Kol ad Hashem b'koyach, kol ad Hashem b'hoda. Right? Who'd like to read the translation of that, please? Brenda, would you like to read?
Yes, yeah. The voice of the Lord is with power. That is according to the power of each individual, the young, the old, the very small ones, each according to their power of understanding. God said to Israel, do not believe that there are many gods.
Sorry.
Oh, where's it gone?
Yeah.
Do not believe that there are many gods in heaven because you heard many voices. Know that I alone am the Lord your God.
Right. Okay. So that's that. So the voice of the Lord is with power. What's power? Power, koyach, to the individual. So each one, when you say, I'll give you the koyach to do something, the power, the energy, according to you and your individual needs. So we each hear a different individual voice. There's different faces to the Torah. There's different interpretations to the Torah. This is how Rabbi Sachs concludes. This is a quote from French philosopher. Who'd like to write? Julian, you're always good at Rabbi Sachs. Go on.
The revelation has a particular way of producing meaning, which lies in its calling upon the unique within me. It is as if a multiplicity of persons were the condition for the plenitude of absolute truth, as if each person, by virtue of its own uniqueness, were able to guarantee the revelation of one unique aspect of the truth, so that some of its facets would never have been revealed if certain people have been absent from mankind. That's quite difficult, actually.
Yes, isn't it? Difficult.
Where does it say Rabbi Sachs?
This is just what he quotes in his book.
Oh, okay.
So he says Judaism, on the other hand. Oh, sorry, this is not Rabbi Sachs. No, this is Levinas.
Emmanuel Levinas.
So, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but I was thinking the other day, there's a certain number of airlines in the world, and there's a certain number of car companies, and there's a certain number of TV stations, there's a certain number of hospitals, and there's a certain number of, and somehow it just works out that, some people want to be doctors, and some people want to go and run airlines, and some people want to be pilots, and some people want to be rabbis, and sometimes it doesn't work. So, for example, there's not enough math teachers, because not enough people want to be math teachers, or, there'll be a shortage of nurses or something. But if everyone had the same aspirations, if every girl really wanted to be a princess, and every boy really wanted to be a fireman, or whatever it is, right? Or, a knight in shining armor, it wouldn't work. But somehow it works. Some people go and study this, and some people go and study that. And it's a funny world, everyone has different interests. Some people are musical, some people are, it wouldn't work if everyone was a rabbi or a rebbetzin. It wouldn't work if everyone was a teacher. These are noble professions. It wouldn't work if everyone was a doctor or a nurse. The society survives because of our diversity. Everyone has different interests and different strengths. So I think he's saying here that it's as if, I think he's relating to Torah here and saying that when we look at Torah and we see that there are different things that speak to different people, it's almost as if, each person said, how do I interpret this? How does this talk to me? What's my truth from this? Right? Which is slightly controversial because don't mistake that for thinking we have many gods. We have one God and one Torah, but it has many interpretations. It talks to different people in different languages. Right? We say this when God says in the Ten Commandments, Ani Hashem, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, in the singular. Right? Why is it singular? Surely it should be plural. So one explanation is because although it was said at Sinai publicly, God is pointing to you and talking to you and saying, I am your God who brought you out of Egypt. That might be true for all the 600,000 people here, but right now I'm your God that brought you out of Egypt. It's that personal dimension for you, that individual dimension. I think that's what this is saying here. That because we are all different and we all see different things we all see different revelations in truth, or in our example would be Torah, we all get different things out of it, right? People are still coming out with new ideas from Torah and books and so on and teachings. So there's always going to be some new facets. And because we all see things in different ways and we all get excited in different ways and inspired in different ways, there'll always be people that find new things. If we're all robots, using AI, we'd probably all come to the same conclusion. And if we didn't, it would be false.
It does not also mean that if somebody wasn't born, that his or her ideas that he would have had would have been absent from mankind.
It's an interesting question. It's a good question.
It said that some of the facets would never have been revealed if certain people have been absent from mankind.
Well, and there's part of the idea if you have particular great rabbis of particular generations that, brought huge amounts of teaching into the world. And people say, if this person hadn't revealed all the things they revealed, we wouldn't have these teachings now. Look, if Einstein hadn't discovered the theory of relativity, would somebody else have done? If Newton hadn't discovered gravity, would somebody else have done?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Probably, yeah.
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 probably.
The standard answer to that is yes, because we have a principle that says "Habe shluchim lemakom," that God has many agents to do His bidding. So don't think, right? We learn, with Esther, he says, I'll send someone else if I have to. Don't think that you are the only one that can fulfill your mission in this world. But yeah, it's, each person has a unique mission. Each person has a unique role in interpretation. Otherwise, everything will be very monolithic. And it's not black and white at all. So let's see Rabbi Sachs. This is Rabbi Sachs's quote. Sorry, Julian, would you like to read this? Bit of Latin for you as well.
Okay. Judaism, in short, emphasizes the other side of the maxim, a pluribus unum, out of the many, one. It says, out of the one, many. The miracle of creation is that unity in heaven produces diversity on earth. Torah is the rain that feeds this diversity, allowing each of us to become what only we can be. What's that the motto for, a pluribus?
I'm just Googling it now.
Is it the American, is it USA?
It's on the Great Seal of the United States on US coins, yes.
Right.
Out of the many, one. So we're saying the opposite. Out of the one, you get many. You get from the one God, the one Torah, you get that diversity.
Yeah.
So coming back to the rain, this is what's the chokhmah of rain? The chokhmah of rain is that rain on the one hand is unified and united, but on the other hand, it produces diversity. So we're saying that, I think it's actually a very important message of this time of year that, we say, what new resolutions can I make? Or, what can I do? How can I grow? Or what should I tell my student or my child and the answer is it depends who you are. There isn't a one size fits all. It really does depend on who you are. Each person will have different needs. This is why we said it, the God who recognizes people's individuality. Basically. Right. Okay, any questions or comments?
Yes, Rabbi.
Yeah.
In one of the previous quotes, it said the word Hadar in it, which obviously is our granddaughter's name, but it had a different meaning.
No, it didn't say that. It didn't get that far in the translation.
Where?
It only translated the first few words.
It was a short quote, though.
Which verse was that?
It was the one from the
Kol
Davening.
Adonai b'koach. Kol Adonai b'chada.
I don't see Hadar.
Chada, no?
No, I don't think so.
It was there, wasn't
Was
it?
it?
Yeah.
In the Hebrew. I'm just
In the
looking.
Hebrew, but there
In
was
the
no
Hebrew.
English translation for
Oh,
that.
sorry. Yes. Kol Hashem b'koach, Kol Hashem b'hada. Yes, sorry. Right. Sorry, you're quite right. Okay, let's go back to that. 1 second. Yes, 1 second. So, yes. So, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Kol Hashem. Come on. Where is it? Oh, silly thing. 1 second. Let's go back to it again. You're quite right. Sorry. Yeah, 1 second. Oh, come on, silly computer. Play. Yes.
It was a short one.
Here we go. Number 9. Sorry, it's not behaving. 1 second. Here we go. Yes, you're quite right. Sorry. Kol Hashem b'koach, Kol Hashem b'hada. So
it's changed to something else.
it's coming. Here we go. Right. So the voice of Hashem is through koach, through strength. And we said, what is koach? Power. meaning the power to each individual. Right, and then it says, Kol Hashem Behada, the voice of the Lord is through splendor, I think is the usual translation, isn't it?
Splendor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, no, or glory.
I see.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, that's what we, yeah. Thank you.
Right, good. Okay, so have a good week, everyone.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and
Thank you,
you.
Rabbi.
Next
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. We won't be online next Monday.
No,
why
No,
not?
why? Why?
Yeah.
No particular reason, just a bit busy.
I thought Amy
yeah.
can't.
I
so
think
what?
we'll be otherwise occupied.
Yes,
Have a good
Yes.
day.
We'll see you the following Monday.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Lovely.
right. Okay, have a good week, everyone, and Shana Tova.
Shana
Tova.
Tova. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rabbi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.